So I've said this before and I'm happy to say it again. Pain is an excellent motivator, and pain is an excellent way of giving you that proper look in your eyes, the persuasive look when you're doing something that really demands a lot of you. Whether that is something physical, something mental, something spiritual, something, well, I said mental, but also psychological, anything that really requires a whole lot of you, especially the things that makes you scared, but that's necessary for you to grow. And so obviously, one of those things would be to go to the gym. Maybe you go to a fight gym, maybe you go to a boxing class, jiu-jitsu class, Muay Thai class, whatever it is. Anything that really makes you scared and nervous, but in so doing, you're growing. And I don't mean doing stupid ass shit. I ain't talking about base jumping. You ever seen base jumping? I know what it's like because there's a lot of people who base jump in my country, in fact, in my county, not far away from where I live. Not far from where I live, there are multiple various destinations where people go to base jump. That is jumping off of a cliff that's very, very tall, and they're jumping down and they're floating in these paragliding suits, thinking that they're Superman or something. And yeah, that looks very cool, but several of them actually die because it's pretty fucking dangerous. So I ain't talking about that. But doing something that spooks you, but that's necessary to grow. Even if it means walking over to the hot girl at the bar and picking her up. If you haven't done it before. If that spooks you. If that's scary. Or negotiating with your boss about a payment rise and more perks and benefits. There is an expression called closed... I forget where I essentially read it. But closed mouths don't get fed. If you walk around like this... and you don't say anything, well then nobody's gonna give you food. You have to ask for something if you want it. Even if it's scary, especially if it's scary. If you believe that you should make more money than what you're currently making, well then ask for more money from your boss. Because you should ask for it. If not, then you don't believe in yourself. But that's a whole different chapter and a whole different conversation. Now the point of all this is simply just to illustrate you. If you want the persuasive look, then take somebody like David Goggins. Now, I can argue both in favor of, I can argue both in favor of and against David Goggins. In favor of, obviously, because he pushes himself every single day. Against, because long term, I believe he's seriously damaging his body. And I don't think that's healthy from a long-term perspective. But you can't deny his utter and complete dedication to working out and to keeping himself in shape, especially when he doesn't feel like doing it. And that's why he's got the look in his eyes that can't be forged, that can't be faked. And that's the sort of look you need to develop as well. Because when you have that look, that's persuasion. I was actually taught by Ben Settle that very thing. That look, the charisma that you have in your eyes, that stare that doesn't go away. That's persuasion. That's aura. That's charisma. That's what sells people on you because they see that you believe what you're saying and you ain't backing down. It's the same thing with Trump. You can say whatever you want about Trump. You can argue for or against Trump. But compare him to his predecessor. Compare him to Joe Biden. Do you see at all any persuasive look in his eyes? Yes, he was in a mentally compromised state. That's fine. And I believe he had some cognitive issues. Whatever. But did you see any sort of persuasion in his look? Or in his eyes? Did you see any sort of persuasive look in the eyes of Kamala Harris compared to Donald Trump when they had their presidential debate? I didn't. And see, that's because Trump believes in himself, and he believes what he's doing. And he's got that no-nonsense attitude. He actually doesn't back down. How can you implement that as part of your character and persona? And how can you apply it in your business to increase to increase sales and to do so through persuasion? If you want to learn more about persuasion and sales, then get subscribed to my email list. The link to do so is in the episode description wherever you're watching and or listening to this. And I'll see you there.